In this video, we will cover the basics of the trim command in Microsurvey CAD. You can start the trim command from the edit ribbon. It can be found right here, or you can simply type trim into the command line. You're first prompted to select your cutting entities, and you can think of these as the cookie cutter or the cutting boundary up into which you want to trim a line or some other entity. So for example, if I select this circle here and hit enter, we're now prompted to select the entity we want to trim. If I choose outside of the circle, I'll trim that line up to the circle boundary. Do an undo here to bring it back. If I choose the inside, it's now going to trim everything up into both edges here of the, or both ends of the cutting boundary. Start the command one more time. Let's say I want this spline to be my cutting edge, cutting boundary. Hit enter. You can now see that we have the option to do a fence. Basically, you're just going to pick the starting and ending point, and if you overlap multiple objects or entities, it will trim all of those up to your cutting point. Now, in this example, this line here, I'll just rotate my view, you can see is at a higher elevation than the rest of the objects in the drawing. Bring myself back to a top view. If I start the trim command and choose this, we have the option for projection mode. If I choose the plane of the UCS, or current view, in a top-down view, you're going to get the same result. So current view, trim this line, it's just going to bring it up to your cutting boundary. However, if I undo that, rotate my view slightly, go back into the projection mode. Now if I choose the plane of the UCS, you can see that it didn't trim it all the way up to the spline we had chosen as our cutting entity. However, if I bring myself back to a top view, you can see that it actually trimmed it based on the plane of the world UCS. However, if I undo that again, start the command over one more time here. Again, I'm in a rotated or skewed view of this drawing. I'm going to choose the same spline as my cutting entity. Hit enter. If I go back into the projection mode and choose current view, and then trim this again, you can see that it trims it all the way up until the cutting entity based on the current view of the user. So if I go back to my top-down view, you can see that it actually has trimmed it well beyond the position of the spline.